Hey everyone, and welcome to the Reach Out podcast. This is your host, Juan Pablo Orquez, and I want to thank you all for tuning in once again, for listening to my program, for listening to my conversations with all these amazing guests, and for taking the time overall, for taking the time to work in your professional development journey. That is the most important thing for me, that you guys are actually taking action and focusing on what needs to be focused so you can develop a better persona that you already are. So, as always, please follow me on Instagram at reachoutpodcast. Follow me on TikTok as well at the Reach Out Podcast, and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, so if you want to ask any questions or if you want me to bring out someone in particular so I can interview them and ask some really cool questions to them, please also suggest that to me on LinkedIn. This is going to be my name, Juan Pablo Orquez. You can find me. With this said, I'm really excited because today we're going to touch on a very important topic, I believe, not only for my audience, which is college students mostly and young professionals, but also to everyone in particular. You know, I feel like sometimes we need that reminder to step out of our shelf and step out of our comfort zone. So today I'm going to talk about why being shy is costing you a lot more than you think. So let me tell you a little story, okay? Because I believe this is a really, really important topic to talk about. I believe that there is a moment in everyone's life where they understand what their gift is and what their passion is. Like whether you call it God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, what that thing that we have inside of us that drives our successes and that also makes us take action towards our passion. I believe that my gift is talking to people, making them feel listened to, making them feel good about themselves. For the longest time, I remember just saying that the whole purpose of my conversations with other people is that after they spoke to me, they felt better about themselves. That after our conversation, they left the room feeling a little bit better about themselves. Because truth is that it's very, very easy for us to always remind ourselves about the wrong things that we're doing instead of the right things that we're doing. I'll tell you, that is my case. For the longest time, I went for a few months through counseling and like therapy. And I remember my therapist would tell me like, why don't you talk with that emphasis about the good things that you're doing the same way that you talk about the bad things that have been going on in your life? I believe there was no answer to that, but that I needed to be reminded of the things that I enjoy doing and reminded of the thing in particular that I believe it is my duty to do in this earth. And that is, again, talking to people and communicating with people in such an efficient and important way that after they leave the conversation with me, they feel better about themselves and they go about their day in a more positive manner. That to me is my priority. That to me is my mission and my goal. So one of the moments where I understood that this was my calling, because it was not always this way, was when I was around 15 years old, maybe 16 or around like 14 to 16 years old, where I would go every weekend to go and work for a few hours of the weekend as a server in my parents' restaurant. And that was a really cool experience that at the moment I did not like. I would just rather just go out and spend my weekends with my friends, which I still did. I was not being like slaved worked in my parents' restaurant, but still it was a good learning experience, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because it taught me how to communicate with clients, communicate with people that go there to just spend some time with their family and to just have a good time. And definitely I took the approach very early on of just fake it till you make it. I was not an extroverted person. I was very introvert. I did not like talking to people that were like outside my circle, that being either my family or my close friends. I was very, very shy. But my father taught me a lot of the simple mannerisms and the little ways in which you can come across to somebody else in a very substantial, in a very positively impactful way. And those are really simple like steps that we all can take, such as like smiling through a conversation, remembering the name of the person that you're talking with, and just making sure that you listen to. Asking a lot of questions and make sure you're connected in the conversation. Obviously, just put your phone away while you're talking to someone. But I did not understand this, and I was like, I'm just gonna do my job and hopefully make some tips. So I was gonna fake that I'm this overly confident persona that I maybe one day get to be, but right now I know I'm not. But for the sake of this situation, I'm just gonna fake being it. So I did, and it worked pretty well. I remember enjoying it sometimes, and I would get some good tips. And at 15 years old, any tip is a good tip, because you don't have a lot of expenses as a 15-year-old. However, uh, the point of me saying this is that my goal is helping you understand that stepping out of my shell, stepping out of my comfort zone, and learning how to talk to people is what's gotten me this far. Not saying that I'm exactly where I want to be in life, but I'm also not taking any credit away from the journey or from the process that I've had to this point. So what I want is for you to take a look at yourself, understand the ways that your life could improve by communicating more effectively and taking action towards those objectives, right? There's so many ways in which my life has improved, not only in this podcast, but just in professional opportunities that I've gotten, and in my relationships, and in my self-esteem, that I've only grown from the work that I put in towards towards talking to people, talking in front of my camera, learning how to express myself. So today I'm going to give you 3 ways that will help you step out of your comfort zone and stop being so shy. So number 1 is finding a community. Now, this is a really important one. And the faster that you understand what your hobbies are and what the things that you want to get into are, some of your passions are, the easier it's going to be for you to find the right group of people. And finding the right group of people, especially at this age, at any age, but particularly in this age, maybe early 20s, right out of high school, entering college, is essential, because those are the people that will help you develop into the person that you're going to become when you leave college and when you enter the workforce and when you actually become a young adult. So understanding those passions and those hobbies is really essential. Additional to that, understanding that you cannot go very far on your own is something that I enjoyed learning throughout this past few years. And I'm going to tell you why. In my first semester of college, I joined a fraternity, and it was not the smartest decision. I'm going to be completely honest with you. However, I gained a couple good friendships out of it, but it helped me understand where I wasn't supposed to be. And when understanding where you're not supposed to be makes it that much easier to gravitate towards the places that you must be and that you want to be. So the second semester, I left the fraternity and I started going into career mixers and student organizations within the business school that I'm in. And that was really, really helpful, because not only it was a place for me to step out of my shell, and actually had to go and talk to this upper scholars people, but also throughout the process I made friendships, and within that journey of making friendships, I was able to develop my professional skills. Simple things as knowing how to build a resume and how to talk during the interview. Those two organizations are so positive for a new student, a student in development process, and development years as in maybe freshman, sophomore, and junior. Those are the 3 years. 3 years is a lot of time, and those 3 years are the most crucial ones. Right at the top of my head, I remember that during my process of my first recruiting season, during my first small interviews for the first internships, this is around the time where I only had server experience in my resume. That was something that I truly, truly, uh, I'm grateful for, because to me that was just like an escape from like classes and my job in the restaurant, to for me to go to the student organizations and the events that they pulled. That to me was a little bit of an escape and a way to just have fun. But in the process of having fun with them, I also learned how to develop myself professionally as a student and as a top candidate for a lot of the companies that are recruiting in the school, right? So if I have an advice for you in this point, is that if you're in school, join a student organization. Join a student organization and strive for leadership. If you're not striving for a leadership position or an officer position in your organization, then you're wasting time. You're wasting time, because that is the best part of it all. I was an officer for one of the programs, student programs here in my school, and that to me was such an amazing experience, because it definitely challenged me to be more professional and be a team player, be more smart with my time, but also it like nurtured my friendships with the people in that organization. So, and those are the people that I'm going to be friends with for the rest of my life. So understanding how to find the right group of people is essential. Number two is do not waste time. Okay, so what I mean by this is sometimes I don't know, like I don't know how to visualize the steps that I need to follow in order to make my podcast the brand that I want it to be, or just to get the job that I want to have, or just to get even like a cool guest for me to interview in my program. However, I think that by just doing, that is a great first step. And by just doing and just acting upon that desire of like, I don't know how to get this done, I don't know how it's going to look like, but I just know that I want it better, that's going to take you in places that you don't visualize at the moment, but are much, much better than you ever could imagine. So like I have like different examples of this. For example, there was this lady named Rita, and she is one of the most successful podcasting businesswomen in the city of Houston. She owns one of the largest podcast networks in the city, and she focuses on Latino podcasts. And I was aware of her existence because she would pop up in the news. She was like very present in social media, and I was always reaching out to her. I always tried to like DM her, try to send her an email, try to send like DMs to her assistant and whatnot. And I wasn't getting a lot of success, to be honest. But I knew that by asking questions to her, I was gonna benefit. I just didn't know how to reach her, right? So I remember this one time. There's a really funny story, by the way. I remember this one time where, again, I would follow her on Instagram, and I saw one of her stories, and I saw that she was in this local bar in Houston, downtown Houston, for like an event, like a press media event. And coincidentally, I was just thrift shopping nearby, like 10, 15 minutes out. And I saw her story, and I was like, I'm like 15 minutes out of this place, and it's a bar. And this could be my only shot of actually knowing where she's going to be, and knowing that I could be in the same space as her, and actually having a chance of talking to this woman that I've never talked to in my life, and she doesn't know of my existence at all. So I jumped in my car, and I was like, screw it, let's just go. And I went, and I went to this bar, and it was like a big event, a lot of cameras, a lot of like wealthy people. And I just ordered a beer, and I was like just pretending that I was like I belonged to the event. I was like trying to play cool. And I saw her, in her section, and it was like far, far out and very deep into like the event. So I just got my beer, and I was like just squeaking into the area where she was, and I was kind of like tiptoeing into her area. And it took me like 17 to 20 minutes to actually get there without causing to like, without looking like, who the hell is this kid, you know? So eventually, after like saying, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me, to like 50 different people to like get to that area of the bar, I was literally behind her. Like I could just like tap her on the shoulder. And that's what I did. I tapped her on the shoulder and I was just like, hey, Rita, like, no, you don't know who I am, but I'm a big fan of your work. And I just want to thank you for the work that you do because it really inspires my work. And eventually we just got talking and talking and I was able to like start that conversation with her that ended up in me bringing her to one of my events for that student program that I was telling you about as a guest speaker. And in that event, not only were like over 30 students attending, but also some of my mentors and also the dean of the school was there. And I was just asking her this question. And I was reflecting on the moment where I decided to take that risk and just do, you know? I didn't know what I was going to look like if I went to that bar and she wasn't there. She had left already. I didn't think of any of that. I just did. And that is my invitation to you. Just do. You know, sometimes you don't know what's going to be looking like out there, but I don't know. Sometimes you got to have faith in yourself. You got to have faith in the process. And those are the moments that I look back with so much gratitude for because I enjoy this process so much. And that uncertainty is the things that you have to embrace the most. A lot of people run away from uncertainty, but I try to embrace uncertainty as much as I can because it's gotten me this far. Sometimes I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. When it comes to like editing, I'm still learning, but I'm getting better at it. But there was a lot of moments where I was like, I wish I could have an editor, someone with me that could help me do this and like explain to me how this is going and if I'm doing something right or something wrong. But at the end of the day, I learned and I thugged it out pretty much. And that's at the moments where I was like, I love that I'm doing this by myself because this is my project. This podcast is my project, and the fact that I get to help you guys by doing it means the world to me. But also because I get to embrace the uncertainty as much as I can. Okay, so I want you to do that as much as you can as well. In anything, you know, if you have a job that you think you could land and you know about someone that you knew from the like a past event, reach out to them and like, hey, just start doing, you know. So I'm gonna give you an example of a much more low stakes situation where you can employ this a principle of like not wasting time at the same time of like just doing by stepping out of your comfort zone. So coffee shops. I love coffee shops. I'm a big coffee shop guy. Here in Houston, I'm a big fan of Agora, of Segundo Coffee Lab, and EQ Heights, although EQ Heights got closed down, but whatever. Um, Sometimes when I'm at a coffee shop, I love just complimenting people and not the way they look, because I feel like that's a little weird from a stranger, but of things that they have, you know, like I'm like, hey, that's a really cool phone case, or hey, those sneakers are really cool. That jacket is pretty dope. Why? Because I just like making other people feel better about themselves again. And also conversating, you know, you open up a conversation, very cool. Like you're not seeking from anything out of them. Like it's not like you're looking for a job or nothing. Like not this like heavy, intense scenario, but rather it's just like you're just talking, man. You know, and you were able to not only lighting up someone else's day with a random compliment, but you also just stepping out of your shell in a very low stake scenario. So I encourage you all to do this. And if you see me at a coffee shop, please compliment me on whatever I'm wearing, because I'm always going to be open for a conversation. But seriously, please do that, or like find the scenarios where you can do that and practice those communication skills, because those are the little practices scenarios that are going to come in heavy when you have to prepare for an actual job interview or for a mixer with a recruiter or like a very high stakes situation. You know, it all builds up. It all builds up. Finally, I'm going to tell this story that it's really, really important in the principle of do not waste time. You see, I'm not going to name any names, but in my second recruiting season as a junior, I remember that there was this company that I really wanted to intern with. And I remember I applied for the role and I was cool with the recruiter. And I applied for the role and they rejected me right off the bat. And I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. And then I was kind of bummed out about it. And coincidentally, that day I had a call with one of my mentors. And my mentor was like, hey, Juan, like, what's up? Like, just give me an update or whatever is going on. And I was like, well, I just got rejected from this company. It kind of sucks because I really wanted the role. I really wanted the internship, and it sucks. And he was like, Juan, how bad do you want to work for this company? And I was like, well, I want it bad. I really want it. And then my mentor told me, um, give me a couple of days. And I was like, okay. I didn't know what to think about that, but I was like, all right. I just left the call and I was like, I just went about my day. And then after not even a couple of days, but that same day, the recruiter sent me an invitation for an interview for that same role, the same role that I already got rejected from. Um, and I was like, damn. So I did the interview and I immediately got the offer. Like not even like 30 minutes later, they were like, here's your offer. Like, we would love to have you over the summer. And I was like, Jesus. Like I was so bamboozled. So I called my mentor and I was like, Jesus, like what did you do? And my mentor was like, just like, well, I just know some people that owe me a couple favors over there in that company. So I just decided to put a good word for you. And I was like, just blew out of my mind. Like I've never seen anything like it. I was so bamboozled, but after that moment, I was like, I want to be that person for someone else in the future. I want to be that type of guy that can just make things happen. However, again, I was not looking for my mentor to help me. Obviously, I was so grateful. I'm still so grateful for that guy. But that just resulted out of a conversation with him. Okay. And that's what I mean. Like, just don't waste time. Don't keep things to yourself. People want to know about your life, so just share things with them. Establish conversation, like genuine conversation, is essentially going to help you a lot. Finally, I want to talk to you about the principle of this podcast and the most important item that I'm going to touch on today, and that is reach out. Obviously, it's not only the name, but reach out. For the love of God, just please reach out. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why. I am only here because I know that I like asking questions to other people. That's it. And sometimes that is just as simple as it gets. And it will get you far, and it's gotten me far. And it's going to get me a lot farther. So just don't try to overcomplicate things. Just know what you like to do, what your calling is, and just establish action towards it. So I know that I like talking to people. I know that my favorite way of learning is asking questions and conversating with people, learning from their successes and their mistakes. So what I do is make sure that I do that as constantly as I can and as fast as I can. And any scenario that I can establish a conversation with someone that I know I can learn something from, then I'm going to be there. Best believe that I'm going to be there. So this is what I want you to do. After you finish watching this episode, I want you to go on LinkedIn. Think about that company that you've always wanted to work for. That company, like that one, Like for me, it's Google. I'm going to be honest, for me, it's Google. But think about that company. Think about a role that you see yourself being like, damn, I would love to work in this role for this company. Think about that. Then make sure you find people that work not only in that role, but just similar roles in that company. And just reach out to them on LinkedIn. It's free. It's free. They might not see it, but it's free. So reach out to them and say, hey, my name is Juan. Use your name, obviously. My name is Juan. And I want to see if you got 10, 15 minutes in which we can have an informational interview over Teams or over Zoom, and I can ask about your role and your trajectory. I'm a student at blah, 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 blah. Do that. They might not ever see it, but do it. And if they don't see it, reach out. Don't reach out to just 2 people, okay? Let's just be honest with each other. If we're going to make this work, you better make it work right. So reach out to at least 20 people. It's not difficult at all. I reach out to 50 people at at a time. Do you think these people just randomly come up to me like, hey, I want to be in your podcast? Absolutely not. That's not how it works. I wish it was like that, but that's just nonsense. I reach out to over 50 people at a time from different companies at a time so they can come and like even think of the idea of me interviewing them for my podcast. And I deal with a lot of rejection. Some like the great majority of people, I would say like over 85% of people don't even see my message. Do you think I take that personally? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know why? Because I'm being persistent. I'm not being annoying. If you gaslight yourself, maybe gaslight is not the best word, but if you convince yourself that you're not being annoying, you're being persistent, then believe me, you're going to be there at the end of the day. You're going to be there at the end of the day, continue to reach out. And if at the moment the people that you reach out to from your dream company did not answer, go into your second favorite company and go to a different company and a different company and another and another and another. And by the fifth company that you reach out to, you go back to the first one and reach out to 50 people more. Because again, you're being persistent, you're not being annoying. And that is the only way that you're going to come out of your shell and that you're going to communicate effectively. And then you're going to look back months from that point in time. And you're going to look back and you're going to be like, damn, look how far I've come. Look at all these people that I know. Look at my network. Again, the network is not about quantity, it's about quality. Building a good network, when people say building a good network, is about the quality of your network. Nurturing that network, maybe it's not a lot of people. That's why like when you have like 1,000 people on LinkedIn or like 5,000, it doesn't mean much, okay? But yet again, it's about the quality of the conversations that you're having and the quality of connections that you're building. So that is the aspect that follows that principle of reaching out, is that you got to be truthful, you got to be genuine. You got to be genuine because people see through that stuff right away. If you're just there with an interested, like kind of selfish approach, people are going to see through that right away. Call it a recruiter, call it a data analyst or whatever, a CEO is going to see that right away. So just be truthful, be genuine, ask questions, come prepared, because you're asking people to take time out of their busy day so they can talk to you. Even if it's for 15 minutes, these people are busy. So come prepared, do your work, and keep on doing it. I do it every single week. And if I don't have guests lined up, I do it every single day, man. But best believe I'm not annoying, I'm just being persistent. And so just believe that yourself. Now, I want to be honest with you guys. It's not easy. It's not as easy as it might sound. It's easier said than done for sure. However, that's when it comes down to the first point. It's just surrounding yourself with a good group of people. And I feel like, to me, one of the main points of my progression is the relationship that I have with my girlfriend. And I'm not saying in the relationship sense, but just the type of person that she is someone that is always pushing and striving towards more greatness. And I feel like that is always constantly inspiring me to strive for that level of greatness as well. And in that same sense, it's like a chain reaction. Now I want you guys to be more inspired, more prepared, more driven towards not only finding what your passion is, but also being actionable towards it. So I have tons of stories where, in my case, the decision of just like, hey man, screw it, I'm not gonna be shy. I'm just gonna talk to this person, or I'm just not gonna be shy. I'm gonna apply for this role and try to recruit for this company. I have a lot of stories like that one, and the point is that there's a lot of stories to be written in the future on that same principle. So there's no reason at all why it shouldn't be the same case scenario for you. And communication skills are just one of those universal skills that anyone has to have, whether you're an engineer or a mathematician or a musician or anything. So that is my episode for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And please don't take it lightly. The things that I told you, like, you should do. Go reach out to people. Please, like, get out of this video and reach out to people. Okay? Like, it's going to do you a lot of favors. So Again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's not about the things you can get from people, but it's about building true connections, truthful connections. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.